and welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cocking.
He's Captain Foley.
And today we're here to talk about shuttles, or more specifically, the Strange New World shuttle.
Yes, the visual reboot reinvention, but yet far more faithful than Discovery Star Shuttle, which was basically just a TNG shuttle with a few different angles. We did a first look at the concept art a while ago. We've sort of not looked at the exterior in more detail, but we will at some point. This was your great idea because you got some really good shots of the interior. So we're going to look at that and see what we think. Fair to say though, Stuart, this one won't be a direct comparison and won't hold it to those same standards. Why is that, Stuart?
It's a little bit of a bigger shuttle. I gotta say, it's roomy.
Yeah, the budget. The TOS shuttle
budget,
was never given the money to be big. It was impressive that they had anything, so it's not, yeah.
It's funny, there was actually a deal with AMT model kits to have a shuttle model. So they designed the simple one and built that as a full-size one. That was part of the deal for getting the model kit. So yeah, that's what the AMT originally was going to be. Matt Jeffrey's original curvy concept one, but that was too hard to build. So that's why we got the Galileo and TOS. And I gotta say, I really like the Strange New World shuttles. They are very, very good reimaginings of the TOS shuttle, and I think they're very faithful, and yet with that new slant on them, which I really love.
Literally, there's a slant.
Exactly, yeah. A few new slants. But honestly, the interior is just so large. This is so large compared to the original one.
Yeah, but also because we are further back, even if the shuttle is called Galileo, it's not explicitly the same design. You can quite happily have, that in-between step. I mean, there's Galileo in Star Trek 5, if I recall correctly. The shuttle wasn't refitted. It's a new shuttle, they picked the name. So they aren't the same shuttle, I would very happily say. But this is our direct comparison. So yeah, this is a really nice open shot of the front. Now, caveat, of course, wide-angle lenses affect the vibe. I don't imagine it's actually 10 people wide or more, because this certainly shows 10 to 15. That's giant. Wide angles. But what comes across here? Because it is a very shuttle.
Well, lots more control surfaces than the TOS one. I love the side consoles as well, and that upper display in the middle. There's a lot going on, and I really like it all. Yeah, I mean, and you got the 3 windows as well, so it maintains that look,
Although
and feel.
I would say it doesn't maintain the look, because they visually don't say to me 3 windows. They say 1 window with a subtlety, but I think that doesn't quite fit aesthetically. But would you agree? It's still a very simple design.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you break down lots of controls, it's still simple. Obviously, they've added, panel lines in the ceiling. If they stripped out all the lines, which are just cut-ins, it'd be really interesting to see this one and how much more simple it'd feel to TOS, because this is not an immanageable shape for TOS. If you took out the lines and you made the control surfaces more of a hard edge, it's pretty. You could make this in TOS, right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely, and that's what it does well. If you compare it to the TOS one that we got here, you can see they even have the astrogator, the round disc on the TOS one. It's still there. It's just implanted in the console there. There's actually a lot of similarities, and they did a pretty interesting job keeping things the way they should look, ish.
Yeah, like I said, this is one of those few ones where the TOS shuttle is a box with some details in it. You feel the absolute. We had $37 in 2 weeks, right? Now, it's not to say that it's really nice to see a secondary ship. And I like this episode, Galileo 7, because normally the shuttle, you only ever see those front 2 angles. You rarely see... Oh, there is a ceiling light. Oh, there is more details. That's really rare, actually, in the show. So it's fun to find the comparison. But, of course, you side by side, it's one's a box, one's a giant shuttle. I mean, let's be honest, right?
Yeah. At least got Spock in the same spot-ish for this.
It's his spot.
Comparison.
It's his spot.
Yeah. The other one has more chairs and stuff. The new one has side consoles at the back, but it doesn't have the same kind of seating arrangement or configuration. Nor does it have a back, the back section where you can walk into. I think the back on this one's a door.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, exactly. Which would have been kind of fun if they'd split it up or have variations. They could have made like a movable wall to put in and out. Because, I mean, they are trying to do different things. The TOS one is also a crew transport. It kind of services... It's a minivan, right? This new one, it does feel like an exploratory craft. And we've seen it go to warp, so it feels like more like a Voyager shuttle, right? A fast, well-equipped, zippy shuttle. The TOS was none of those things. It was a sublight, mostly, personnel travel / to planet. So functionally, I like the difference in feel, and the yeah. And this is a little joke shot actually, because of course the front of the bridge looked giant. No. There's a further back shot, whereas the TOS one, that is as far as back as we can go.
That's as far as back as you can go. Yeah.
I'm touching the wall. This is still a shuttle. I mean, this is a. I mean, now you can get a sense. The fact that Chapel can turn 360 with ample legroom.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's twice the width. This is giant. 4 times the length.
Yeah, and again, you could be right with the lenses kind of making it look bigger than it actually is, because I can't imagine it's that huge, honestly. But from this, I mean, I always got the feeling that the TOS one could maybe hold like 14 people crammed in, maybe. The new one feels like, 25, 30, we're fine. You'll be a little bit cramped, but the size is really impressive to me. And this one we got to look at more of the back consoles as opposed to what we've got before. And it's really neat to have that kind of stuff, like communications on one side, and then I guess it's engineering on the other side that Spock's going to there, because it's got like the shuttle diagram there.
But you know what I like about this back console, and this is, I've done these shots, but I don't tend to look at them until we do this review. That, to me, the back feels like a really nice JJ / TOS / Enterprise and XO1 combination console. I see elements of all three well implemented each in a nice balance. I really like that console, actually.
Well, the interesting thing is that one black panel with all the multicolored lights on it, it feels Star Wars to me. Almost feels like something you see on a Star Destroyer. But
jelly beans, But I love it. You got jelly beans of TOS. You got switches, knobs of XO1. You got touchscreens of everything future. Great, right? I really like that. I mean, it's a really nice shuttle. It's nice. It's nice.
Unique chairs, just like the Galileo had. They had those like really nice bucket seats that like swiveled and like pitched forward and backwards. I hope they locked, because that would be a pain. But
yeah.
But these
no seatbelts though.
well.
No seatbelts, but locking.
Exactly. Yeah. These ones are very unique as well. They have a nice, unique shape as opposed to the ones we see on the bridge of the Enterprise. They also have like the legs, the way they do that. They're trying to go for kind of like the same kind of unique feel, I think, but be different. So
it's great, and I mean, this feels like an expensive set where the money's been spent in the right places to not go overboard. But I would imagine that we didn't see it a ton in season 1. I mean, it felt good. I'm assuming there's more in season 2 to justify it, because this is an expensive set to build, and like there's a lot of physical space on set to take up. This is a standing set. You ain't taking this apart.
We did see it a few times in season 1 for sure. I'm not sure how many exactly, but
not enough to feel its presence giantly, though.
No, but I think enough to warrant the expense for sure.
Yeah. The thing is, once you have a shuttle, you can just throw in quick shuttle scenes. So I mean, it's worth the investment, of course. But I think they must have known season 2, because there's quite a lot in this episode. But the next shot, though, is a shot of the back. In the episode, of course, we got this reverse shot at dark on sort of night mode, so not quite a direct comparison. I entirely forget there's a coloured bar on top of the TOS one, and pipes, I guess. Again, you never see this angle. I was quite careful to try and pick up the weird, most broad angles.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think on the schematics of the original one, there's like the back thing, which has like some engineering controls and stuff, and there's also like a little bit of an armory back there, like a few phasers.
Well, there's drop-down things you can pull out of, yeah.
Yeah. And we see Scotty here. This is where he patches in phaser powered to through a floor panel. And yeah, I think the new one doesn't have that. I think that's literally a ramp that goes down to the outside.
Or an air or or small airlock.
Yeah, and I'm even right now trying to remember if the Strange New Worlds one has the side door.
It doesn't. No.
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 Okay. Looks like there's a spot for it there, and they just didn't do it.
That's one of its big changes that we noted early on. There isn't one.
It looks like there is, though. It looks like that bottom part has a handle that would fold down, and then the top part, the black lines are where it would fold up.
Well, it could be an emergency exit, I should say, but I mean, it's a very small hatch door, right? Yeah, no, I agree that possibly, but it's certainly not the standard. Not getting the emergency exit every time. But I will just give them credit again. I love Galileo 7 for the fact that you see the shuttle set fleshed out in such a ridiculously, this and this and this sort of way. I love it. Just credit to the episode. Yeah.
We just built this. Let's show it off. Like an episode all about it. That's pretty much what it was.
It's a real set after that one. But, I mean, there's no real parallels between the two. They haven't got light panels in the ceiling on the Stranger Worlds one.
Even the interior shapes are all different and, yeah.
And not that I need them to be, right? It's a different class of shuttle. That's fine. But this, I think, shows there's no parity. Just disparity. The next shot, though, is a shockingly similar shot. This is what 60 years of difference does. But I imagine this shuttle cost the same as, the shuttle set from TOS and everyone's salaries for that year in that set.
Including inflation, yeah.
Including inflation. So there's the disparity.
Now, here the Galileo 7 has one of the ball devices on that side. There is one on this shuttle, but it's on the other side, the pilot side, which I love that little feature, by the way. But yeah, I love the side panel with the actual like consoles and displays, as opposed to just a box with blinky lights, which is kind of behind the guy. And no control yokes on the original one. It was very much, I think, push button, like flying, like the helm on the Enterprise.
And how do you feel about that? The fact that the Enterprise was more advanced, that buttons controlled, you had to learn how to fly via button, which instinctively is a worse way of flying, but of course it's the future, they say it's better, versus literally just a very modernistic thing, which feels very retro. Where do you fall on that?
As a pilot, I would want a control yoke of some kind. I agree with Tom Paris when he did the Delta Flyer, having something tactile and physical that you can actually like. So no, I do like the control yokes. It makes a lot more sense. So that's, I think, a big improvement. But I mean, in the 60s for TOS, they were trying to go very futuristic. So they didn't want anything that looked like an aircraft's control yoke, because it's the future. It would be a different technology. But I think for a smaller craft, having that would be more tactile and be able to feel and be able to react, I think, a lot faster. So
it's just a fascinating, the idea of we haven't beaten the wheel. Like, the wheel hasn't changed conventionally. The idea of going on that, there are things that, like a mouse, right? A mouse hasn't changed pretty much since it was invented, besides a laser. I mean, how are you going to make a keyboard any better, right? The idea of just individual keys. Like, there's certain things that, how could you progress them in a way that controls? It feels antithetical to put a yoke back in, because that says there's no better way in 200 years of flying. Feels odd to me, right? But of course, it's fun to play. I would kind of prefer it almost if it was a touchscreeny, and then that would be it was down below, and it would extend for like an emergency
retractable
control,
one,
or entirely personal preference. You could do a whole episode where Ortega's chooses the touchscreen because she's better at that, and then Spock comes and he's like, I prefer the manual screen. Just, you kind of make a joke out of that, both ways. I'm not complaining by any means. It just feels very retro versus TOS, which always feels kind of advanced in its own. Like, well, we're past that way.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, the original Galileo had like 3 little control like sticks that were up that you could like toggle with your hands. And we saw them in one of the episodes, but which is kind of a futuristic way of doing things, I guess. They're very reminiscent of the sliders on the transporter, but they had like longer handles.
Oh yes,
yeah. So
just interesting.
I
just grounds it.
I agree. I agree. I think it would be cool to have the option at least. And
I kind of prefer the Delta Flyer approach, the 2 flight sticks versus literally it feels like just a car steering wheel. I think that's what's getting me here. It feels so dumbed down.
Well, it's an aircraft yoke. It's the exact same as any plane, really.
But Delta Flyer, I find that more, for some reason, to me, that feels more advanced than this. Don't know why. But the next shot, though, is a clear view at the back, including the door and some lights. Yeah, it's great they actually had jelly beans. I mean, it's the most obvious thing to bring back from TOS, but it's like, good. They should be there. Excellent to see.
One thing I noticed here that I'd never noticed before, there's 2 chairs back there. I didn't notice that in the episode, but there definitely is. I think on Ahura's side, there's only one, if I recall correctly.
I mean, again, if spacing, if they can have 2 chairs pushed against the consoles and still have an entire walkway, yeah, this thing is twice as big as a Galileo. I mean, hands down, this thing is, it'd be fun to get a model of this made and then put it in the Canon-sized TOS Enterprise. Would it even fit into the bay? Probably yes, but would it fit out the door? Maybe not,
Yeah. I mean, there's standing room and headroom in this one. The other one, I think they kind of had to do a little bit of a duck.
Yeah, it was like a submarine shuttle, where space is limited. This is space is which I like if this is kind of a runabout style ship. The scale, the tech, the warp capability, that I think would be great. It would have been so nice if they'd made a small shuttle, the non-warp capable, stick with that cannon, use this as runabout, one of this, 5 of the other, would have been lovely.
One picture I see you don't have, which I was thinking you would, was Artigas when she's like, hold on to your butts, and she's got like the throttle, which is very similar to like the JJ-esque warp, and even Sulu in the motion picture, the warp kind of handle. That was kind of neat as well. I think that was reminiscent of those slider things that I was talking about. But yeah, I can't wait to see more of it in action. I know we're going to see more of it because there's a crashed one in one of the episodes.
That is true. I mean, at some point we'll get a bottle show just on the...
Like Galileo 7.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's a good set.
Absolutely. So guys, let us know your thoughts on the shuttle design for Strange New Worlds. Anything you want to talk about in the comments section, please do so. We want to read it, and we want you guys to have a nice conversation back and forth with the community because we love you guys. And to be part of that community, make sure you hit subscribe. Click the notification bell icon to all so you don't miss our content, and just hit that like button.
And while you're just lingering on the video, you can click the join button. It's a YouTube monthly donation scheme that helps support this channel. What we want to do, what we would like to do, what we want to continue to do going forward, or you can super thanks on a video. It's the same thing as super chat, but not. But similar. It's the same thing, just not. That must help. Just click the button, see what it says. Or super chat, any live, any amount, any comment, question, thought. You could radically change our conversation, and we love it. Or PayPal, trekyards@hotmail.com is the email. Buy shirts, or just check the description, and look.
Yeah. Lots to do for you guys, so your assignments. Go do them. So until next time, he is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.